Welcome to the Mom Please podcast, the #1 generation-spanning show that discusses all the latest issues in modern society, with your millennial host, Eric Joseph, along with baby boomer representative and co-host, Carol Stram. Join us as we delve into what's going on in the world today and discuss how to bridge the aisle to find common ground. And now, for this week's episode of Mom Please. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mom Please, the discussion and debate show that spans generations and tries to make sense of everything that's going on in society today. I am your host, representing the millennial viewpoint, Eric Joseph, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, representing the baby boomer perspective, Carol Stram. How are you today, Mom?
Hey, I'm great. As all of you know, Eric and I are mother and son, and we always have these great discussions. We don't always agree on everything, but we try to keep it very, very respectful.
We try.
And informative. And I have a couple of updates on a few discussions that we've had already in the past.
Okay.
One, we talked about birth rates several episodes ago, and a listener followed up with me and wanted to know how is Italy's birth rate doing, considering they don't provide for IVF there. So they don't allow IVF. They also don't allow surrogacy. So you can't bring a baby in or have somebody else have your baby.
Oh, wow.
That's largely based on the fact that it's a very Catholic country.
Yeah.
And that the Catholic Church, forbids all of that. IVF,
right.
Surrogacy, so forth.
Oh, that's crazy.
So that is not helping their birth rate in any way, shape, or form. So they not only have their worries about an aging population, but they also have that. So that is not something that will continue to help them.
Okay.
And
interesting.
Yeah. The second thing I wanted to mention, because you kind of mentioned it,
yes,
was that this was the first year in Illinois high school sports that they have sanctioned a flag football team for girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So that thing that I was saying about the Pop Warner asking you in our previous episode.
Right.
That's very cool.
Right.
That's very cool.
They don't wear any pads, but they do wear helmets. They're not the traditional helmets. They're, kind of this newfangled helmet that's coming out that's all padded everywhere.
Oh, okay. So kind of looks like, I think I've seen like maybe soccer goalies wear helmets like that or things like that. Or rugby players perhaps wear helmets like that. So interesting. Very cool.
So that's
more power to the ladies, huh?
More power to football.
Yeah.
American.
American.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, but today's topic, Eric. So, what's your definition of turkey? Of a turkey?
Well, we are. First off, I think we have to tell our viewers that we are doing a Thanksgiving turkey tell-all. Mm-hmm. We are going to be talking about turkeys. And the definition of a turkey is something that is extremely or like completely unsuccessful. And it especially relates to like plays or movies, but it can be also people or, we're going to expand the definition for the sake of our discussion to just kind of anything in general that's, either been a failure or unsuccessful in our minds, something that is maybe getting on our nerves, something that we don't like in particular. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of going to be, what we do. So, this is the month of Thanksgiving. Right. And we usually do acknowledge things that are blessings and joys in our life and things that have been bestowed upon us. And we're gracious for them. We're grateful for them. But this month, you and I are going to identify all these turkeys.
Right. And
we want to talk about them. You guys may have your own turkeys that you have in your life or that you may contend with. But here are our Mom Please epic failures and irksome people or things, a.k.a. our Mom Please turkeys. So, Mom, what's like the first thing on your list of turkeys?
Okay, my first thing is texting while driving.
Ooh.
I mean, it's not...
Yeah, I hate that.
Right. It's not only illegal, it's very dangerous. I just saw a driver yesterday who was kind of going, weaving it in and out of the lane a little bit.
Yeah.
And when I got up to pass this person, texting on the phone. And so it's just dangerous to everybody. So save a life. Don't do it.
That's annoying. That's the worst part about that is it's like, not only are they texting and driving, but the texting and driving, the whole reason why you don't do it is it's distracting. You have no idea like what's going on because your head is buried in that phone, you know, and that's why they're driving so badly. You know, and I bet they weave in and out to like save time because they're impatient too. So it's just
this, I think, just not even recognizing that they're in and out of the lane.
Yeah, you
lines.
think so?
I think it's just, you know, not paying attention.
Just people not paying attention at all.
Yeah.
I have my own issues with people who are poor drivers. In the neighborhood that I live in, it seems like a rare occurrence where a person actually stops at a stop sign. And I don't just mean they roll the stop sign. You know, everybody kind of rolls stop signs a little bit, right? But I mean, seriously,
Just
like
goes
people
right through?
driving 30 miles per hour, flat out, straight through the stop sign. Just not pretending like it's not even there.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And it happens frequently. Like I might actually do this after this recording today. I might go outside tomorrow morning, just set up a camera and just record all the people that go by.
Just go through it.
Just go through that stop sign right there on the corner of our street.
See,
and we'll post that. We'll post that on our Facebook page just to show you guys, you know. 'Cause
now,
it's
one
crazy.
of the things that I find kind of piggybacking on the driving thing is so many people think that turn signals are quite optional.
Yeah.
But they just don't use them. They don't use them. And I don't know why that is.
You know, I hear this is actually funny. I am aware of a specific stereotype surrounding people who don't use their turn signals, and it's BMW drivers.
What?
Everybody says that BMW drivers are like the worst at using their turn signals. And I have seen some videos out there, and it's pretty bad. But so I admit to being a BMW driver. I drive a BMW, guys. But I use my turn signals. Because I'm aware of this.
Even when I'm in the left-hand
it's all those
turn
other
lane.
idiots ruining it for us.
Even when I'm in the left turn lane, it's obviously I'm going to turn left. I still have my signal on. I don't know why people don't use them.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't know.
They're there.
Like, it's crazy because cars are dangerous. You know, cars are dangerous.
Right.
You know, car accidents are one of the leading causes of accidental deaths in the United States every year. It's like number 2, I think, you know, right behind
heart attack
like
or
guns
something.
or heart attacks or something like that. But like it's wild because like I don't know what it is about this particular area, but I've never really actually seen just on the street cars like flipped on their side or flipped over on their top. In the last 4 years I've lived here, I've seen 2 instances of cars like in the middle of the street, like just up the road, flipped on their side for whatever reason. And I'm like, how badly?
Yeah, do you know how hard it is to flip a car?
You have to be driving around like side streets where the like top, like you're going 30 miles an hour at best.
And most of these streets here are one way and they have speed bumps.
Yeah, and they have speed bumps. So it's like you really got to be doing something wrong to like flip your car on its side around here. So let's see some other things that have happened. Just like a couple of weeks ago, my wife almost got hit by somebody who ran a red light just completely. And this was bad. This was like 2 cars ahead of her already had cleared the intersection she was going through. Then the guy comes through. It wasn't even like the light had just turned and he flies through. It was people were already going. If she had gone right behind those people, she would have gotten T-boned. 100%.
Oh, that's crazy.
100%.
That's
so her patience, thankfully, her
as
patience,
a walker or as a driver?
As a driver, but still, like if you get T-boned as a driver, it's still very dangerous.
No, it's very bad. It's very bad.
When I have been walking, like walking the dogs, I've almost been hit 3 different times when I'm walking through an intersection where there's a stop sign because people just don't stop at the stop signs.
Yeah, that's you know one thing about good old Florida, where all the old people live, the land of the
at least they drive slow, right?
They drive slow, and they do stop for
Yeah.
all pedestrians, which is a good thing. But
that is good.
Here,
that is good.
Here, I do not trust that they will stop.
I don't. I agree.
I do not
I
trust.
think, you know,
I never
as a youth thought that the Chicago drivers were bad. I think they're pretty bad now.
Yeah,
I think they're
think
pretty
great.
bad.
I don't think they're great.
So something that's bothering me
Oh, okay.
is people that don't take pride in the things that they do. And I have run into this has happened in 2 of the last places that I've lived in. This place that we're recording from right now and the previous place that I lived in. So man, I've lived here in this house for 4 years, right? I've lived here for 4 years.
Wow, 4 years already.
We had a home inspection when we moved in, but over those 4 years, we have found issue after issue after issue things that is wrong with the house, things that are wrong with the appliances that were put in the house. And, we ultimately just had a major siding project on the back of our house because there was water getting in through like the windows. And when they were done with the project, I looked at it and there were pieces surrounding the windows, like around the windows on the exterior, that weren't even there before. And I'm looking at this like, I asked them, I'm like, this should have been installed the first time around, shouldn't it?
Right.
And they're like, yes, this is what keeps the water out.
And did you but did anybody step up to the plate on that and take responsibility for it?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Because I would have had to have found that out like within the year that this is a new construction, right? So that you get like a year on your new construction to point out these issues to your builder. And trust me, I tried with this builder.
Right.
But eventually, like, he started getting annoyed, and he gave me some, like, I called him on the phone one day, and he's like, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm going to do my worst Polish accent ever. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I am in Poland for next 4 months. My mother, she very sick. I must be over here to, handle. I sent my friend Jakob. He deal with you.
Okay, Vladimir.
So, like, Jakob was unhelpful, right? And I just realized that this guy's giving me the runaround. Like there's no way he's actually.
He's not going to do anything.
He's not in Poland for 4 months. He's not going to do anything for me. So, like, it bothers me because, like, that was. It was like $13,000 to get that fixed, and that should have been done right the first time. And I don't know how the first home inspector didn't catch that. We had we had an entirely different home inspector come in, 2 months ago to just inspect the whole entire home because I'm just like, I'm tired of finding these issues. I need somebody to come in and tell me your home is a money pit and you need to spend a lot of money to fix it. I just need you to tell me that. I'm not mad about it. I just need to know.
Yeah, right. Well, at least you know now.
So there's like so many things, and like contractors that I've had work on my house, I always feel like I have to keep on them to be like, no, do this way. No, don't do that. And like, I have to almost do their job for them. Delivery services like Grubhub, when Grubhub doesn't deliver your food and then they're like, oh, we'll just give you a credit, you're fine with that, and you're like, no,
but I'm hungry.
I need to eat food. What's up with all these food delivery services and food services thinking that you just want credit? You don't want credit. You want the food.
You're hungry. You're hangry at that point. You're hangry.
So like, stuff like that. Like, people like take pride in what you do. I understand maybe you don't get paid like as much as you think you should, but like, work hard and maybe one day you will. Maybe one day you will.
I think no matter what it is, I don't care what it is that you do.
Yeah.
If you do it to the best of your ability.
If you do it, try to do it well. Try to do it well.
Okay, so this is on a different topic. Parents who buy their kids a motorized bike. I see a ton of these all of a sudden, okay?
Hate that.
Now, here's what I don't like about that. I don't think they're safe.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
And these are not pedal assist bikes where you have to pedal the bike.
These are like fully motorized.
This is like fully motorized.
Yeah.
And
those things go almost like 30 miles an hour,
and
right?
Isn't it counterintuitive to put a kid on a bicycle for exercise and then it's motorized?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get that. I'm sorry if I've offended any parents out there, but
no, I 100% agree with that because I have read stories and seen instances of people around here who either on a motorized scooter or a motorized bicycle, they don't follow the rules of the road.
Right.
And a lot of the times I see them riding their motorized scooter or motorized bicycle on the sidewalk, which the sidewalk is for people walking. The sidewalk is not for people on vehicles, and that is a vehicle, 100%. I even get annoyed with people who I see on bicycles if they're not like, really, really young.
Little tricycle.
Right. If they're like, if they're like yay tall, it's fine if they're riding on the sidewalk and not the street. But so there's that. And these, I am a cyclist, and I hate that I get flack. Like people yell at me sometimes when I'm just out cycling, like on my bicycle, and yell like, "Oh, look, gay biker," like out their windows of their car, shit like that. And it's because of like other entitled bikers who think that the road is like theirs and they don't follow the rules of the road.
Rules of the road have to be followed. Yeah.
In Illinois, like I get it in other places, the whole Dutch stop thing where you just kind of roll through the stop sign if there's nobody there is fine.
Right.
But in Illinois, that's not legal yet. There is work being done to make that legal, but it's not legal yet. So every time,
so you have to stop.
Look,
do you clip?
I'm not clipping yet because I'm not comfortable yet.
Okay,
I'm not
you have to be
yet.
pretty comfortable with clipping.
I went on a ride with your ex-husband, my dad, and He rides his bike on the sidewalk. He blows through the stop signs. I'm not going to go on a ride with him again. I'm going to talk to him about that. I'm going to be like, look, Dad, you can't be riding like an asshole biker doing all this stuff. Like,
just keep me informed of that conversation.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. So like entitled bikers, stop being entitled. I even saw a video of some guy, some biker. He's riding on the side, some driver goes around him. The driver parks his car in a skate park because he's like some 20-year-old kid. The biker like comes upon him, like puts his bike in between the kid and the kid's door. Kid's trying to like close his door. Biker keeps opening the door saying, "You were too close to me. You accosted me." The police eventually come, they get the police there. The biker gets a ticket for being a total, complete, entitled jerk and like basically assaulting this kid. The kid has this all on like dash cam.
Tape, right?
He shows the cop. The cop's like, yeah, well, the kid's probably not going to get a ticket. I'm going to issue him a ticket, but he'll take it to court. He'll probably get off. I'm issuing you a ticket because everything I have, is on that camera. As evidence is there. And the biker, who's like a 60-year-old man accosting like a 20-year-old kid, is like, can we just say we're sorry and nobody gets a ticket? Like, so once he knows he's getting in trouble.
Right.
Like, it's like, so bikers, stop being entitled.
Okay.
Drivers, stop being jerks on the road.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So I'm not a fan of when I'm watching a sporting event with my kids and a Viagra commercial comes on. My adult kids, right?
Oh, gosh.
And come on, enough is enough. I mean, the one guy is always throwing the football through the tire swing.
Getting it right through there.
What does that mean? Okay,
I don't know.
I hate that. I don't want to see it. I also don't want to see or listen to a man explain to me in any sport that I'm playing with that person, mansplaining to me what I might improve upon or what I'm doing incorrectly, and then they articulate slowly because somehow my little female brain can't absorb it. Stop.
Who hurt you, Mom?
Stop.
You? Is that like when you're playing like pickleball and golf and like you get unsolicited advice from guys?
I will name no names.
Name no names.
Not all right. I will say this: my fiance does not do that.
That's good. Something that definitely bothers me is why is there so much trash everywhere? And this might not be in places where you guys live, but where I live, there is garbage everywhere. It's on the ground. It's in the street. It's in my yard. It's everywhere but in the trash. And I'm so confused. Why is it so hard for people to just throw trash away?
Trash,
We're trying to preserve the planet and the environment.
Right.
That's not helping.
That's not helping.
Not helpful.
Yeah, when I was a little kid and we used to take road trips, people just used to throw their trash right out the window.
People still do that.
Throw it right out the window. I'd be like, what is happening?
People still do that.
And I thought that was bad then, and now that's all illegal.
I've seen people sometimes at stoplights just open their door, put the drink cup on the ground, close the door, and just off. Yeah.
Okay. I'm more the person that drives away and has the drink cup on top.
It's on the top and it's right off of your car. Yeah.
I'm always irked by the one, and this always happens in the middle of the night, the one smoke detector that goes off and you cannot find that beeper. Beep. You cannot find it.
Yeah.
So you lose a night's sleep. Then the next day, I change all of them now. I don't even try to. I change all of them at once.
Well, we know that you change all of them now because of what happened that one Christmas. This woman almost burned her house down. What? She put a poinsettia near a candle. It just went. Poof.
I did not put your brother put the poinsettia there. I'm not taking the rap for that.
Okay.
I'm not taking.
And
by the way, none of my smoke detectors worked.
None of them worked.
None of them.
Of the smoke
so
detectors
I had all
went
of.
Off.
I didn't.
The house was so full of smoke.
Okay. Let's not exaggerate. There was some smoke.
There was some smoke.
There was smoke. I changed out. I didn't just change the batteries. I changed all the units
smoke detectors
because
themselves.
I was so uncomfortable.
I mean, I would be too. I would have been too.
Yeah.
I think we told you to do that. I think we were like, you gotta.
I think
get
I
that
knew
done.
to do that. Come on.
Yeah. This is one that I kind of. It's more of an annoyance, but it's kind of a scary annoyance. Targeted advertisement. So every so often, and I wouldn't even say every so often, I would say it's like every week now, I will be having a conversation with a friend of mine, and they'll mention something in the conversation, and I will...
Is this on the phone?
This could be on the phone, or this could be in casual, like, setting conversation.
Okay.
Like I was just talking to a friend of mine over, like, a Skype, earlier this morning.
Right, sure.
And he mentioned something about Shoresy, which I'd heard of Shoresy before. I guess it's some sort of a Canadian, like, television program of some kind. I didn't really know that, and he was like, "Yo, did you hear about this thing happening? Shoresy is doing this thing." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I didn't hear about Shoresy. I don't think I know who that is."
Right.
And I said that out loud, like I said the word Shoresy, right? And I opened up my phone like before you came into my home today, and I look at Reddit and I scroll a little bit and I see an advertisement that's like, "Shoresy is coming to your area this date, this time." And
So
I was
that
like,
prompted that.
I can't
It's like
believe
Big Brother.
that. It's literally like the phone is listening to me.
Everybody
I
says-
hate it.
Okay.
I don't like
Now
that.
you're a conspiracist.
No, it is true though, Mom. It's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
okay. I really, and I don't know if men are like this. This would be a question for you. I
Yeah.
hate the mean girls. I hate
Like the movie, or like
no,
just mean
no,
girls
like
in general?
women who are generally
women
mean.
who are catty with each other.
Women who are more mean.
Or just in general.
No, and that one woman that's super sweet on the outside and is very sour on the inside.
I think that is a mean. Well,
And then
that's a different kind of
the
mean girl.
super passive aggressive woman, who's all lovely and wonderful, and then somehow shares some biting remark or some backhanded compliment
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
I just can't. Why can't everybody just be straightforward?
Yeah.
If you got something to say it the way you should say it.
I wish.
Don't be so closeted about it. Just say it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
Are men like that at all?
it depends. It depends. Some guys are like that. Some men are like that, where they will be one way to your face, and then like behind your back, they'll talk a bunch of crap about you. But I think that's a little less so,
It's so
among men.
sixth
I think
grade.
that's a little less so among men. I'm not going to speak to it completely because obviously I'm not a woman.
Right.
But I do think that the stereotype is that girls, like when girls and boys are like at age 10 to like 14 years old, the saying goes like boys will like beat each other up with their fists, but girls will tear each other apart with their words.
Right.
Right. So they'll tear each other
Right.
down.
And
by,
the
like,
difference
spreading
is,
rumors
and then girls
things.
hold these like forever grudges.
Like crazy
and then
grudges.
boys are like, they punch their friend and then they're like,
and then they're
let's
like,
go have a
let's-
Coca-Cola.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's go have
yeah,
a beer now.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I
right?
get that. I get that.
Okay, I've got a couple of things that I want to go, I think, a little bit back to back on. So something happened recently that obviously I think everybody knows, the November election for the United States of America, for the president.
Yes.
And I think there are a lot of people who, obviously, a lot of people are happy. A lot of people are not happy. I think for the people who are not happy, this is directly at you guys. This is for you. Don't ice out people who voted differently than you. If you are in a workplace, or you are in a group activity, or you do something with people and they have different opinions than you, you're still going to have to work with them. You're still going to have to deal with them. You're still going to have to talk to them every day. It is very childish and very immature, in my opinion, for people on the left to basically ice out their fellow coworkers or their fellow group mates or whatever have you on the right who voted for Trump. In my wife's former workplace, which I won't name, but it's a animal shelter. There are a lot of people who are on the left, tons and tons of people who are on the left,
right.
And there's like 2 people who are on the right, and this is maybe a place that employs at least 50 employees. So it's overwhelmingly left, and now all the people on the left are really pissed at those 2 people who they know are like Trump voters,
Right.
and they are not talking to them. They're
Right.
not communicating with them, interacting with them. They're being like mean to them at work,
Right.
and that's some mean girl type stuff right there. And I don't like that, because at the end of the day, we do have to be able to work together
Absolutely.
and try and come to some sort of
Resolution.
consensus.
Yeah, right.
I do
Right.
think that with the next thing I'm going to talk about, I think that both sides are too extreme right now. I think the left is very extreme in certain things that it does, because you have situations where the left will like eat itself. And this is something that happened in Michigan. There was a Michigan city that is somewhere around Detroit. It's a pretty small city, but they were very, very happy about the amount of diversity that was in their city. and they in like 2003 or 2023, excuse me, like 2023, voted in an all Muslim council, all Muslim city council. And one of the first things that all Muslim city council did was ban the display of LGBTQIA plus flags anywhere in city grounds, anywhere on city property, anywhere in the city.
On city property.
Well, just like anywhere in the city, basically. Like, and there was a large LGBTQIA plus community in that city. They got really, really heated about it. They got very upset about it because when, Muslims weren't entirely, when people weren't feeling too great about Muslims in this country, which, 2001 through like probably 2015, 2016, all these LGBTQIA plus people came out in support. They supported their Muslim brothers. They supported the Muslim community. And now they feel like they're turning around on them because they're like, well, you guys are brown. You guys are, a minority. Why don't you support us? What's the deal there? So like the left has to stop thinking that it can be just the party of minorities and of underprivileged groups, because groups don't always stay underprivileged and don't always remain minorities forever. And honestly,
in this country,
Arabs were being courted before 9/11 happened. Arabs were being courted by the right and would vote right generally.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is, I think by 2035, that the European white in this country will be the minority in the country.
I think there will be
the country will be more brown.
Yeah, I think there will be a time when this country will have more minority groups.
Okay, I'll piggyback on. Groups. Can I piggyback on a couple of political things then?
Well, I was gonna. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll probably jump back in.
Yeah, you can jump back in. But okay, so since you're in that mode,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm tired of political parties slinging mud. I'm tired of listening to political commercials that accuse each side of being, lower than pond scum, the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Could you just talk about your platform? Could you just talk about your policies? Could you just not appeal so much to the emotional component and anger and irritation and fear mongering? Could we just deal with the issues?
I wish.
And we teach our small children that name calling's not okay, but yet for the last 6 months, that's all I saw on TV.
Yeah.
In these commercials was name calling. And then I also am irritated or irked by political parties, doesn't matter what party, that will not compromise on legislation when it will serve the greater good. Because
I agree.
Because it is not the
Yeah.
platform of their particular group or whatever, but yet it will serve the greater good. A great lesson in history on this is go read anything about LBJ and how he got the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed. Unbelievable legislation. We've never seen anything like it since then. And he worked both sides of the aisle to get that to happen. He threw in that he horse traded, so forth, so on. That's how legislation's supposed to be. And it's so polarized right now. It's like, are we ever going to get out of this morass?
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's what I was going to kind of come back around to. So I kind of harped on the left a little bit for the eating itself. But I think it would be so great to see the political right, the establishment right in this country stop supporting bad policy, like frankly just bad policy, in order to gain the voter base that they need to be elected into office, like anti-abortion policy, anti-LGBTQ policy, catering to like the election was stolen January 6th conspirators,
get AK-47s,
QAnon type people,
get AK-47s off the street.
Yeah, stuff like that,
gun lobby.
So and especially religion being in politics. I believe in the separation of church and state. I don't think religion has anything place to do with it in deciding what policy gets implemented at any level of government in this country. I believe in the freedom of people to practice their religion and to do and to make choices. To have religious ceremonies or organizations, groups, churches, whatever. I just don't think that their views should make policy decisions for the entire country. I don't think that's
I agree with you on
the
that.
Entire state or a city like the Muslim All Muslim Council in Michigan, I don't think they should be able to ban those flags on what I think is
a religious
reason.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that is frustrating, you take your little civics class when you're in whatever 11th or 12th grade, and we are founded on 3 branches of government.
Right.
We have our legislative, we have our executive branch, and then we have a good old judicial branch. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court is supposed to be, this is a letdown for me.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a neutral space. They are not supposed to be political in nature, and yet these appointments now are very political in nature. Yeah. And the justices don't claim a political party, but they don't get in unless they're aligned with a political party.
Right, because those are appointed positions, correct? And so they're being appointed by whatever party is in power at the time.
And by the way, and who on earth, besides God, the only supreme being, gets to keep their job forever? And these people get to keep their jobs forever. So I am wholly irked by the Supreme Court.
I can definitely understand that, especially with some of the decisions that have come out of the Supreme Court in the past number of years, and especially with what it feels like is, positions in the Supreme Court were vacated at very, very critical and bad times if you are on the left, because I think the Supreme Court it's 9 judges, and there are, I want to say, 7 judges right now on that court who essentially vote lockstep with each other, and they're voting for right things. They're voting for all the issues on with a right-wing bias.
And that's not,
so that shouldn't be how it is, because I don't think that the country itself, if it was like 5 judges were voting that way and 4 judges were voting the other way, I would feel a little bit better about that, because I feel at least that is representative of
the United
States.
Kind
of the United States' general population, which, if you are a classical liberal like me and you like the Constitution as a document of history and the kind of ideals that it stands for, we should have representative government of us. Our government should represent the people,
right? But
and
the
ideals
constitutionalists will say that they can only look at what the Constitution says, and that it's not a living, breathing, evolving document.
Sure,
and that's why they go. That's why they took Roe v. Wade out.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think they have any business being political, and they are political. They have turned into a political being.
Yeah.
But on a lighter note, though, I don't really like daylight savings time.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless I'm falling behind.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, you like this? The daylight savings that just happened recently.
I don't like to lose an hour. I'm old.
Who does, Mom?
I don't know.
That's
and then
easy one.
4:30 in the afternoon. It's dark out. I just don't
I kind of don't like it. That's kind of annoying. Although it's nice for the filming of this episode.
Yes,
is great
it's lovely. Yes, the ambiance is lovely.
Okay. So I'm gonna stick one more thing on the kind of political side of things. One thing that is tough for me is, I live in Chicago, and it is definitely a very left kind of area. And I know people look at me a certain way and think certain things about me based on just what I look like, and there was a situation where my wife and I went out to a party, a friend of ours turning 30 years old. It was a fun party, rooftop event. I'm in a conversation with 2 people, and I know one of them for sure I know is a trans person.
Right.
The other person I'm unaware of, if they may or may not be.
Right.
And then I'm in this conversation with these 2 people for at least like 10, 15 minutes, whatever we're talking about. I'm not really sure. Then another person comes and joins in the conversation. It's an Asian girl. And she is like one of the employees for that organization that I told you my wife used to work for. So she joins the conversation, and she mentions something about being like kind of a little bit awkward, and maybe it comes off in a weird sort of way at first, so she's a little bit self-conscious. I can tell that. But then, and this is what kind of confused me and kind of got me thinking a little bit. She then decides to ask the 2 people that I'm sitting with, what are your pronouns? They, them. Okay. What are your pronouns? They, them. Okay. She looks at me. She does like an up and down scan. And then she looks back at the rest of the people and she sort of continues the conversation that we were having, right? And I'm like sitting there like, okay, there's a lot that's here to unpack about this situation. She didn't ask me my pronouns because she looks at me and assumes I'm a straight, white, cis, hetero,
cis
male, like all those qualifiers about me. So, whatever. Now, the weird thing about that is she looked at those other two people, immediately assumes that they're trans. Isn't there something a little bit weird about obviously people who ask people their pronouns, they're going to be on the left. Those people should be trying to make everybody feel comfortable, right? It shouldn't be
did you feel uncomfortable?
I felt not uncomfortable, but I was annoyed that she didn't ask me what my pronouns were because she should be trying to treat everybody the same. Like there's no world in which it makes sense to me, somebody who would say to another person, you shouldn't make assumptions based on what people look like.
Right.
And she's out here making assumptions based on what people look like.
Right.
To even only ask those two people their pronouns and to not ask me mine. That's making an assumption based on what we look like. That's the same person that says you shouldn't do that.
Right.
That's not okay. Don't do that. If you're out there and you ask people their pronouns, ask everybody their pronouns. Okay?
For the record, I don't ask anybody their pronouns.
I don't generally either. I
call people by their names.
I agree. I try to call
because I don't want to make any
names.
assumptions about anybody.
Right. So that was just something that happened to me like a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
And
it just happened.
It really just made me kind of. I generally I'm on the same side as these people, and it feels like I'm the other, like I'm the enemy sometimes.
Right.
You know.
Well, that can happen.
Yeah,
that can happen. I am not a fan of lying.
Okay.
And
fair.
I just watched the movie with Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar. It's a great little movie.
It's a classic. I like that one.
Somebody who's so compulsively, all they can do is lie. They can't even distinguish between lying and the truth.
I think a lot of people have trouble distinguishing that nowadays too.
But then I thought, have I ever been a turkey in this regard? Have I ever lied? Have you ever lied, Eric?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Do you want to know something that I've lied about and I've never told you?
Okay.
I've never told you this. Okay.
Okay.
So, do you remember the first car that you got us when we were kids to drive? I think it was we were allowed to drive the Acura.
Right.
The MDX. Right. And do you remember one night I came home with the MDX and oh my gosh, one of the tires is popped and one of the rims is bent. How did that happen? I think I told you that I had parked it in a friend of mine's driveway and I must have bumped over the curb a little bit too hard and that hit the rim.
And that's not how it happened?
I might have been illegally street racing in an unincorporated part of the town. And I might have, and it might have been raining out, and it might have been raining out, and I might have. It actually was not. It was not that person that you think I was with. It was some other people. But yeah. So
I'm so proud. Once again, I'm so proud, Eric. Please.
So I was trying to go around this guy on the outside of a turn. It's raining. I turn the wheel. The car doesn't turn. Starts understeering. I go straight over a curb into the lawn of a business. I almost hit the sign. I almost hit this massive 6 foot by 6 foot sign in the lawn, just barely swerved to avoid it. Go back. Takes us an hour to change the tire in the rain. Awful.
Awful. We had to buy a new rim.
I limp it back. You should be happy that I'm not in 20 pieces, that I didn't break my poor little arm or something.
Yeah. If you would have told me that story back then, you would have been in 20 pieces.
I know. I would. Have you ever lied about anything,
Okay,
Mom,
so I
that you
thought
haven't told
something
anybody?
that I consistently don't tell the truth on. Okay, so when I was...
Wow, consistently? Okay,
yeah, this is the first time I'm admitting this.
Really?
So
right.
I was... when I was in college, I was a little sister. They had little sister organizations to the fraternities.
Okay.
So I was a little sister to Sigma Chi fraternity. And Sigma Chi is always designated the sweetheart of Sigma Chi every year, right?
Okay.
And when I was talking to somebody casually at a party one time, I was like, well, I was a Sigma Chi little sister. And they're like, were you the sweetheart of Sigma Chi? And I said, Yeah, I was the sweetheart of Sigma Chi. I've never
You
been
were
the
not.
I was not.
You were not.
But I was the president of the Little Sister organization.
Okay.
So I had a little.
Is that an elected position?
It is an elected position.
Oh, okay,
yes.
so at least your sorority liked you enough to elect you.
For the fraternity. The fraternity liked
Oh,
me.
the fraternity
Yeah,
did. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But I really was not the sweetheart of Sigma Chi.
How could you lie
one of my
about that?
roommates
How could you do that,
was,
Mom?
and she was fabulous and deserved every ounce of that accolade, but me, not so much.
Well,
Okay, so
it doesn't happen for
I got that
everybody,
off
right?
my chest now.
Man, that feels really light compared to what I just told you. I feel like you're gonna you're gonna have words to say to me after this.
I am. You know what? You're right. You're in one piece here, but
yeah, I might not be after this
yeah.
podcast, guys. Send the police if you don't hear from me in a month.
Yeah, no. I don't like customer service anymore.
Yeah, I
It's
agree with
super-
that. I agree.
When I call
I
the
agree.
bank, when I call a business, I get a series of bots.
Yeah, it's all AI.
And
it's all bots
I
and
just
AI.
say, I want.
I want a real person.
Agent.
Hit
or
the
whatever,
zero button. Hit the
right?
pound sign.
Yeah, you try everything to get out of it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you get someone that it's difficult to understand.
Yeah.
And it's just
Well,
it's
that
like-
they're in a call center in India
it's just
somewhere.
it's gone too much
The
robotics,
outsourcing,
too much
outsourcing
It's
to
too
robotics
much.
in other
Too
countries
much,
is
too
tough
much,
because
too much.
you do just want to talk to a human at
I
some
just want
point.
to talk to a person.
Yeah, because it's just like you can explain your issue to a person. It's much harder to do it through
Right.
the prompts that you
Right.
get. It's
Sometimes
this
they
thing or
don't
that
get the
thing.
right
Yeah.
prompt.
I agree.
That's what I
Sometimes
have
the
to
prompt
say.
isn't even there.
I have to
right?
say, agent.
Like you have a very special issue that only you are having.
Because I'm very special. I only have special issues.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's see. So in that same vein, I hate how every time you have like a new company that you're joining like a program for, like a gym, or like maybe you get new cable service, or maybe it's like it might be Best Buy, you go somewhere and they're like, here, why don't you sign up for an account and our app, and they shove you like, the thing, and you're like, no, I don't want the account. I don't want the app. Like, we just had our Xfinity Comcast service changed over to AT&T, and now we have to get an app for the AT&T.
Of course you do.
We have to get an app for the new security system that we have, which is ADT. We have to get a Google app, home app for the ADT system. So we have three new apps that I have to have, 3 new login information, 3 new pass. Why can't everything just be simple? And
I want
it's
the
just
service.
all in the same place, because
right.
I can't remember all these usernames and passwords. It's too much, Mom. It's too much.
And I'm old. I hate.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's bad for you
the
too.
The passwords and the codes.
Yeah,
I have, and then insult upon injury. At some point, they say to you, "Oh, and by the way, your password's so old."
It needs to be changed.
You need a new one.
You need to change it now.
I'm like,
I think Google Password Manager is like a godsend, but that doesn't work everywhere.
No, it doesn't work.
It doesn't
everywhere.
work everywhere.
And I'm dubious about keeping it like that.
Like all in one place.
Yeah,
I know. Imagine somebody hacks that.
Right. Exactly.
And everybody's passwords are all compromised.
So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How about this? How about the person who, when you're in a group text or a group email, replies all accidentally, and is trashing one of the people in the group. I mean, I heard from
a little birdie that somebody that you might know was doing that about the Mom Please podcast.
Oh yeah.
Somebody.
No.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
We don't have to talk about that. We don't have to talk about that.
Okay. So something that I think is kind of in that regard is, people I think very highly of themselves a lot of the time, and that's kind of sometimes why they do stuff like that. They talk down to other people or behind the people's backs. I think that Europeans love to talk down about Americans and the things that happen in America. And so I've gotten a bunch of shit from my European friends about the, Trump being our president and all this other stuff. But, there's all these things that Europeans are not very enlightened about. And I think, one, if you want to talk about something, Europeans think that Americans are very, very racist, right? I think that that's a pretty common idea.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't want to say any.
It's okay. Listen, I think that there are some Europeans out there that are pretty darn racist, because there have been some incidences, especially, like I was saying, football fans, European football fans, are kind of crazy. And I mentioned something in our last podcast about like you go to Spain or you go to England, you get some crazy fans. In Spain, they get quite a few players from Brazilian leagues into Spain because I think going from Portuguese to Spanish is a pretty easy thing for people to do.
I don't know. Those are pretty different languages, but go ahead.
And a lot of these Brazilian players are black.
Right.
And one of the more famous and one of the better Brazilian players right now, this guy plays on Real Madrid. His name is Vinicius Jr. He's known to be kind of targeted by fans, by other players, by like everybody. And people, part of it is because he kind of plays a bit of a villain when he's on the field. He's kind of a bit of a instigator.
Right.
However, being an instigator on the field of your sport does not excuse fans from hanging an effigy of your body above a major roadway. Yeah. Like, that's not acceptable behavior.
Right.
And people like that should not be allowed to be fans of sport or be allowed in the stadiums or anything.
In the U.S., if something like that happens, that's considered a hate crime.
Oh, yeah. And something happens to those people. Yeah, but in some of these other countries, it's just like, that guy, it just happens, or that guy is an instigator. He's like, he deserves it, right? Okay. And it's like, Jesus Christ. So there's that. Also, there's like new wars like every 10 years in Europe, thanks Russia, by the way. There's, they hate on us for having people like Donald Trump run our country, where they have people like Boris Johnson, Marine Le Pen, they have Giorgia Meloni, the Italian prime minister, they have Vladimir Putin, they have Recep Erdogan, the Turkish president.
Right. So they have their fair share.
Their fair share of Trumps,
Benjamin Netanyahu
out there.
They have their fair share.
The Middle East, but that's
right.
Same.
They have their fair share of rats.
A lot of
Kim Jong-un.
difficult world leaders, and some of them come from Europe. Apparently, in Europe, a lot of places you have to pay for a public restroom. That's barbaric. That's barbaric.
Yeah. Well, okay, but go to the one you don't have to pay, and it's a hole.
Well, yeah, but like public restrooms in like parks in the United States are pretty nice, right? Like they're not terrible, right?
No, they're not terrible at all.
So, I mean, just have nice public restrooms. Like it's not that hard, I think, right?
Okay, and Europe, note to self, get 2-ply toilet paper, okay?
Yeah.
Please.
Do it.
Please.
Okay. But like, yeah, so like, and I even heard this today from a friend of mine I was talking to on Skype, that this guy lives in Sweden, and some of the guys he knows who live in northern Sweden, apparently if you're in Sweden, the north is where the rednecks are, not the south. Oh. So he's saying that they like to talk amongst themselves about how like the Ukrainians deserve the invasion.
Oh my gosh.
And shit like that. And I'm like, how? Like, what are you guys talking about?
Wow.
Like, what do you mean, dude?
Yeah.
So like, I don't actually think that Europeans are vastly more enlightened or smarter than Americans by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it's different.
People seem to sink down to their lowest level sometimes. Yeah, it just is what it is.
Next time on Mom Please.
I'm a turkey sometimes when
How so?
when somebody will greet me, they will know my name.
Uh-oh.
And I can't recall their name.
It irks me a little bit that people don't care about things that are true tests of skill. They care more about the drama or the other story that's happening behind the scenes of this. And something that happened recently that I can point to is Mike Tyson just fought Jake Paul. There's no interest for me in terms of the skill of what's happening here. The only real interest is, oh my God, look at this 58-year-old former powerhouse of a heavyweight fighter, fight this kid who is at first, Jake Paul was an influencer. He and his brother Logan Paul owe their success to Vine back in the day, which was like a precursor to TikTok. There was no skill happening here. I watched the fight. It was 8 rounds. The first 2 rounds were the only rounds where Mike was doing anything other than stand in the middle and like just be defensive the entire time, right? And I think you can talk to a lot of people who watched that fight. It felt weird and I think bad to see like a 27-year-old kid beat on a 58-year-old man.
I don't like Southwest Airlines not assigning seats because the other thing, and I'm amused by this, is people, you'll be in a conversation with them and you're having a meal and they're asked a question and they're eating their food, right?
yeah.
And instead of
chewing
just
the food and
chewing the
waiting.
food and
Yeah.
they do the thing where I don't want to see their food,
No.
first of all, or they cover their mouth and continue to chew and answer. So they have a hand in front of them
doing the
Yeah,
this thing.
yeah.
I think that the doing the this thing is okay
No.
because at least you're not seeing the
No,
food that
but-
they're eating.
but
right?
I can't
do that.
even- I
Sometimes.
can't understand
I do that
you.
sometimes. I'm sorry. Am I a turkey for
Stop
doing that?
doing it.
Stop doing
Stop
that.
doing
Okay,
it.
right.
Okay, how do you feel about this? When you're in a conversation, somebody's always on their phone and they're scrolling and they're checking. They're
I don't
always,
like that.
always on their phone.
I don't like that.
Or they're watching television with somebody, and they're on their phone, and then they're asking you what happened in the show, and you're like, "Well, watch the show instead
Yeah,
of your phone."
yeah.
I just focus. People focus.
You said you didn't like the political attack ads that you saw. You don't
I
like the
don't like
political attack ads, right? I don't like the incredibly pandering advertisements that came out to try and get more men to vote for Kamala Harris. They trotted out Tim Walz like he was some sort of caricature of a man's man, like the Midwestern man's man, and he could still be like a good husband to his wife and support his wife and be her cheerleader. But he also likes guns, and he also hunts and he does all these other manly things. And it's instead
Don't
of
pander.
trying to convince us based on who is in your party, try to convince us based on the issues.
Right, but I also
Support
don't
those
think
issues.
that
They
any specific group wants to be pandered to in
I
any
agree.
way, shape, or
I
form.
agree. I think
we
that,
just
yeah.
we just want to be all treated like people.
I hate winter in Chicago.
Yeah.
I hate winter where I live because, you don't even stay here during the winter.
Right,
You go
'cause I
off to
don't-
Florida.
I don't like the winter.
It's not
I don't
good
like
here.
the
It's not
winter.
good. Like, there is nothing in this city
It's gray. It's so
that can
gray.
be done in the winter that can't also be done in the summer and is better in the summer. There's no mountains. There's
Right.
nothing outside that you can do with the snow except push it from one place to another place. I hate it.
And
I hate
it's-
winter. And it's like minus 40 degrees also.
Okay,
Like,
the snow is pretty when it first falls, but that's about
yeah,
it.
yeah.